And it is the infinite way that is revealed that there can only be one consciousness. And that therefore, that consciousness which calls or which is known as God is the consciousness known as man, and eventually must become one in recognition. Now do not forget this. There is nothing new in the revelation that I and my Father are one. The fault with it is that we've been led to believe that Joel and his father is one. And all of a sudden he wants to flap his wings and fly like the angel. And finds he can't even walk on water. And so, further light is necessary. It has also been revealed that there is but one consciousness, and that consciousness is God. Now bring that down to the consciousness that is God is the consciousness that I am. And you have your oneness, then you can relax your personal effort. Now you can relax from taking thought for your life, what you shall eat, what you shall drink, wherewithal you shall be clothed. Why should you take thought when the consciousness that formed you is responsible for maintaining and sustaining you? You can relax in His Spirit, in His wisdom, because His Spirit and His wisdom are yours. These are one, and not two. You know, the only way it could ever have been discovered that actually there is only one power is through spiritual discernment. The natural man couldn't have discovered that because the human mind is faced with two powers at every side, in the physical realm and in the mental realm. Therefore, unless someone had ascended above the physical and mental realm, they never would have discerned that God is the only power, Spirit is the only power. They never would have discerned the non-power of temporal power. It begins when you stop trying to know God with your mind. When you are willing to acknowledge God is. And if I go any further than that, I'm building an image of God in my mind. The moment I would say God is love, or God is life, or God is power, I am building an image in my mind. And this is idolatry. But the moment I can relax in God is, I'm not trying to brace infinity within the confines of a thought. I'm accepting whatever God is as is. And then letting that is define itself to me. It is in this way that ultimately the revelation came to me of the word I. Because always I too had been having words out there. And then thinking that I was worshiping God because I knew words like soul and spirit and mind and truth, and all of which were just mental images and thought. I might just as well carve them out of wood and had mind, life, truth, love. on a mantelpiece and worship them. What was the difference on the mantelpiece or up in my head? They were finite concepts. But ultimately, the revelation struck me. How is it there is no word beyond I? I isn't a concept. I isn't a word in my mind. I is myself. Since I and the Father are one, and there is only one I, God must be myself. That makes sense. That makes sense because something is functioning as Joel. And what could it be but God? What could it be but God functioning as the Son? SOS. And then when we turn to the Master, we discover that God is the Father and God is the Son, and so I know the revelation is true. I is God and I is myself, because God is the Father and God is the Son. In order then to live this, Joel must stop taking thought. Otherwise, Joel is trying to play God. That's very dangerous. Joel must stop taking thought as to what the weather will be, as to what the business will be, as to what the plans will be. And Joel must let God reveal his will, his plan, his life. Therefore, Joel is consciousness. Conscious of that which comes through from consciousness. The consciousness I am. And this gave us our infinite way interpretation of prayer as being that which has no words and no thoughts. Because words and thoughts are an attempt to influence God. They're opinions, theories, beliefs. Therefore, prayer has no words and no thoughts. But in a wordless, thoughtless prayer, God can speak words because God says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. So all I have to do is rid myself of my thoughts and receive God's thoughts. And his thoughts constitute the word that is power. Then prayer must be without ceasing. It must be an attitude of consciousness. It must be a continuous listening. Not neglecting anything out here, but reserving a little bit, a little area there. Always alert for the still small voice. This is praying without ceasing. It is listening for the still small voice. It is being still and knowing that I back there is God. And then we live by prayer. Prayer then functions our life. Prayer is the word of God, the Spirit that beareth witness with our spirit that goes before us. Now, to return to the Father's house, please remember that I and the Father are one. and God consciousness and my individual consciousness constitute that oneness. And in proportion as I am listening, I am being conscious of God. I'm being consciously aware of the presence of God, of the power of God, of the reality of God, of the joy of God, of the Spirit of God, of the life of God, of the wisdom of God. In my body and in my mind, I cannot know the things of God. Recognizing myself as consciousness, adopting the listening ear, which is the attitude of consciousness, I become the child of God that is the Son of God, the heir of God, joint heir to all the heavenly riches, because all that the Father hath is mine.